Well, brothers, it was only a matter of time. The world is healing. The Olympics has officially banned transgenders from competing in women's sports. And I could not support this decision more. So, The Telegraph says breaking transgender athletes are to be banned from female competition at the Olympics following a review of evidence about the sporting advantages of being born male. I have prayed for moments like these, where a return to normalcy and sanity may be on the horizon. The new policy may also bar female athletes with differences of sex development, possibly including boxers like Imane Khalif. Right. So, trans athletes are no longer going to be able to compete in women's sports at the Olympics. It is official. We are back. And so, there is going to be a lot of gnashing of teeth. There's going to be a lot of complaining. There's going to be a lot of caterwauling. But ultimately, that's just noise. This is normalcy. It is insane that you had a bunch of biological men that were competing against women, and in the case of boxing, we're brutalizing them. Absolutely brutalizing them. So I am 100% in favor of this. And to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know what took them so long. I don't know what took them so long. This should have been something that was done years ago. And honestly, the fact that we ever got to this point is honestly a little bit depressing. But here's the article. Olympics ready to ban transgender athletes from all women's events. Strict new policy may also bar female athletes with differences of sex development from competing. So here, oh, come on. I'm not going to subscribe. Let me do something real quick. Yeah, fuck the Telegraph. Yeah, I don't care enough to go and read the Telegraph. We'll find somewhere else to read this. Let's see. IOC set to ban transgender females from Olympic sporting events. Reports say athletes with DSD will reportedly be covered under the new policy. Okay, so I mean they are adding some stipulations. Tectone, our boy Tectone. If this is true, it's a great decision. Men and women are drastically different genetically. This is for the safety. This is for the safety of women. A man injecting some hormones should not be allowed in female sports. Far too dangerous. Now let's fix bathrooms. True. Base Tectone. I agree with him completely. I think that far too often we get people that are trying to play these games, but the ones that are affected by the suicidal empathy of people on the left are unfortunately the most vulnerable, whether it be through immigration or whether it be through situations like this. When you are allowing somebody like this to compete in female sports, you've lost the plot. You are out of your mind. But I wanted to talk about this because I made a video the other day talking about my position on transgenders, and that has caught the attention of a lot of people, and they're none too pleased with my take on transgenders. And I just want to say, from the bottom of my heart, I apologize for nothing, and I meant every word. I think that the solution to transgenderism is not to affirm it. I don't think it's to say, yeah, no, I see the faces that are floating around and whispering in your ear. No, the schizophrenia is real. We need to basically affirm you thinking you're combusting into flames. No, mental illnesses should not be affirmed. They should be treated, and we should try to find a cure. Gender dysphoria is not real. I don't mean that there isn't something called gender dysphoria and it doesn't affect the brain, but I mean the idea that it creates in your brain that you are the opposite gender is not true. And thus affirming it, you are putting truth to a lie. And there is no merit and being deceptive and dishonest. Because when you put truth to a lie, you are perpetuating harm on the entire world. You are reinforcing something that's not true. So I fully support this. I think this is the right decision. I'm glad to see them do it. I know that there will be a lot of people molding about this, but you know what? Let them mold. Let them mold. This is the right decision, and I can imagine that J.K. Rowling is probably hosting a very eloquent banquet. It's a very sophisticated banquet. I'm sure she is. But this shows that the world is healing. Wow, I guess you learn something new every day. You don't say. If genitals don't define gender, how does removing them affirm it? That's really funny. Your dog isn't vegan and your child isn't trans. Marcus Aurelius. Yeah, true. Um, yeah. Hi, Doc. I'd like to have one of my fingers removed. Clearly, you are mentally unwell. Hi, Doc. I'd like to have my penis removed. You are an inspiration. That's true. When you affirm this shit, you do more harm than good. Back in my day, blowing a tranny was an automotive issue. True. Well, guys, yeah. I think this is a great decision. I think that we need more of this. Olympics set to ban all transgender athletes for the LA 2028 Olympics, but row rages over whether those with Imane Khalif's reported condition will be allowed to compete. The answer should be no. They're given an unfair advantage. It is what it is. Somebody that obviously has that problem that, I mean, they're indistinguishable from a guy, basically, like because of that condition. A ban on transgender women competitors is strongly expected to be in place for the 2028 Olympics, but it remains unclear if there will be barriers against athletes with different sexual developments. DSD. I think they'll allow DSD. I think they will. I think they will allow like genetic defects and stuff like that. Differences of sexual development. I think they will. I just don't think they'll allow transgenders. Under the existing rules, each sport is empowered to decide if transgender women can compete if their testosterone falls below a designated threshold. But the International Olympic Committee, under new president Kirsty Coventry, is in discussion about a drastic policy shift that would impose a blanket ban on all across all sports for the Los Angeles Games. Such a move would prevent the kind of scenario we saw Lauren Hubbard contest the weightlifting. Oh, that's this, by the way. That's this situation where this guy, this obvious guy, decided, I'm going to compete in the women's weightlifting and just obliterated all the records. Obliterated the records because this is a biological man. Saying, no, I'm a woman now. No, you're not. And the damage to that was pretty intense.
Well, like you said, we need to sit down and analyze what we feel are the top priorities. There's a lot of different challenges, and as you mentioned, President Bach has faced many of those. I would like to say that over these last 6 months, I've realized how strong the experiences and the knowledge of our IOC membership is. And I've never been successful as an individual. I've only ever been successful as a team. And I'm going to look at leaning on our membership to ensure that we're making good decisions for the movement. At the end of the day, President Trump is a huge supporter of sport. There's never been a sitting president that has attended the Super Bowl, and he did. He was the president at the time when LA was awarded and when the FIFA World Cup was awarded. I truly believe that he wants the LA 28 Games to be a huge success. It will take sitting down and having a good conversation with him, sharing with him our values and where we want to be, how we want LA to be successful, and being very clear on the different priorities for us as a movement. Well, what we need to do is sit down. You know that the international federations have been leading the way. What I'd like to do is bring the international federations together and the IOC, and try and take a joint decision on how we are going to protect the female category. The work has been done by the International Federation. So what we now need to do is sit down and lead that work.
Is there a time frame for that in your brain?
I need the next few days just to see how everything is going to line up. I'm going to take the rest of the evening to go and say thank you to everyone that supported me. But when we look and sit down and come up with a timeline, I will definitely let you.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge, huge boon for them to have, you know, a sporting event in the United States of America with our market, and in LA of all places in 2028. Yeah, that should be massive beyond what anyone can imagine. You're going to have the Olympic Games in the United States in LA. I think that it's going to be incredible. Um, but yeah, Donald Trump helped to facilitate this, so I totally understand. But yeah, no, it's a huge win. It's a huge win that gives women the ability to compete fairly against other women. And you know what's so interesting is I'm accused of hating women all the time because some of my takes, well, they don't resonate well with the male feminists and, you know, the modernity focused women and men, these beta males, these cucks, these degenerates. They go, "Oh, you hate women." No, it couldn't be further from the truth. I love women. That's why I want to help women. I'd like women to be able to compete fairly against other women. And most of the content that I do, while it may be brutal and direct at times, it is to help women. Because ultimately, feminism and modernity have done more harm to women than anyone could have possibly imagined. So, yeah, I believe in traditional values as it relates to this. So, I think that a ban on transgender athletes in women's sports is a good thing. I support it 100%. Good job. W. Massive win. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said before, I will say again, I do not believe in affirming transgenderism in your kids. I do not believe that. I don't believe in affirming transgenderism in society. I think that it's cruelty to do so. I think that it's wrong. I think that you should seek a humane and reasonable solution to this problem, but not to affirm it. Because as we've seen, transgenderism has become a social contagion, and it does not lead to any good outcomes. And even Bill Maher, who's somebody very far to the left, has talked about you have to explain why transgenderism is popping up in record numbers among these, you know, very left-wing areas, but not everywhere else. Why it's not popping up in, like, Ohio, for example. But a celebrity, well, both of her kids are trans and pansexual non-binary. You would have to explain that. It's a social contagion. It's a degenerate ideology. It's a disease that certain women use as social currency, and it needs to be done away with. It needs to be outlawed, to be honest. This idea of pushing this on your kids, forcing your kids into this, the way that a lot of women do, because it's almost like Munchausen's. They want to live vicariously, like Munchausen's by proxy. They want to live through, oh, my kid is trans and pansexual and has autism. Like they want the pyramid of, you know, victim points. Anyway, brothers and sister, this is a huge win. I'm glad to share it with you. Thanks for watching. See you next time.